the pledge again? Do you want to do the pledge again?
I'll do it, yeah.
All right, 7 o'clock. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Leah, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Please stand and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance.
A nation under God.
All right, thank you, everyone. First, some housekeeping matters. Some have already heard it, but we'll do it again. Emergency exits are off to the side. Restrooms are out in the lobby area. If you haven't done so already, please sign the attendance sheet at the back of the meeting room. There's also business cards back there with the email and phone number of the planning department. The back table, there's also proposed resolutions. You're welcome to look and follow along. If you haven't done so already, either please turn off or silence your cell phone so as not to disturb the meeting itself. And if you have any conversations that don't directly relate to the current application, please take it out in the hall so as not to disturb the process. As far as the process goes, most of you, I think, have already submitted exhibits and letters and what have you. If it's new, let us know that it's new. We'll certainly take it, we'll review it, we'll mark it accordingly. But I'd also like to do for the minutes and to keep everything as orderly as possible, we'll let you make your application. We will do our very best not to interrupt or talk over each other. And if you would respect us, it's the same way. Don't talk over, because Amber is taking the minutes and she's listening to it. And sometimes if we're all talking over each other, it's going to be difficult to know who said what, where, and when. And the exhibits themselves, let us know what exhibit you want up on the screen. And as you're looking at it, there is a pointer up there. Point to what you're looking at. Use compass directions. Use structures. Avoid saying, if you notice over here, if you notice over there, that doesn't translate very well to the minute. So the more descriptive language you can use for what you're trying to tell us, the better. Certainly we'll take questions. We're going to at times ask if there's any opposition, if the public wants to speak for or against. If that happens, the communication goes from the individual to the board. There's no interaction from an applicant to let's say a member of the public that wants to speak for or against it, but we'll get through that if that happens. So with that, I think that covers our housekeeping matters. Next is the approval of the September 2nd, 2025 minutes. Hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to review them. And if so, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
Oh. Okay, so Leah makes the motion and Matt second. And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Larry, you were not here last time, right? So
Watched.
you watched. but you were not here, so I think you have to abstain.
I abstain.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate you watching. Okay, so let's go back to the, let's see, the Wilkinson 439 Fisher Road, the variance for placing a fence forward of the home. How are you? Good, good. Let's catch up a little bit here. So installing a fence approximately 52.2 feet forward of the front line of the home. So go ahead, whenever you're ready.
Oh, much better. Thank you. Some of the natural features made it difficult to be compliant with the code. And that's where we started down this path of trying to figure out, how we could make a fence that would be useful and effective for containing our dog and child, while minimizing impact to our neighbors and keeping with the nature of the rest of the neighborhood. So I'll go through, you can see on this slide, the existing property of 439 Fishers Road. The details on the top right and bottom right show the view from the street. That's to indicate that the street-facing and neighbor-facing borders of the property are covered by hedges. On the left detail, you can see pretty well in the color photo the hedges that run along the property lines in both directions. In the next slide, you'll see the proposed fence outline with details showing the type and style of fence as well as the height. Being the blue being a 4-foot tall decorative metal and wood construction. Along the driveway, that's really the only visible part from the road. And then the remaining fence runs would be a 4-foot tall black-coated chain link, sort of tucked into that hedge. If you go to the next detail, or the next slide, that details the gate locations as proposed, with a little bit more black and white detail there. If you go to the next slide, you can kind of see where our challenge lied. You can see the Auburn Trail running from bottom left to top right of the image. And then set back parallel with the trail is the edge of our property. So this creates a quite narrow triangle for us to try to accommodate a fence entirely in the backyard. And it became so challenging that we went and started this process of getting a variance. If you go to the next slide, you can see some larger detail of the view from the road. This is to highlight that the fence as proposed would have minimal impact to neighbors or to people driving through. You can't even see the area where the fence would go. It's quite densely wooded and densely hedged there. And that is the conclusion of the supplementary material. I also have submitted the survey, which I modified with, I don't know if you guys have it. Yep. I modified with some further information about the location of the hedges, the measurements and setbacks of the proposed fence line, there's some existing trees, and then there's also a storm drain at basement floor level, so it's a walkout basement in that area. And then the blue semicircular lines are my crude representation of topographic lines, so that shows that there's a basin there that's graded to draw water into that. So if we were to keep behind the property line on the, let's see, the south side of the structure, we would, south and west side of the structure, we would basically have to cut through our deck, the existing deck, and in order to maintain any access from the house, I think it would be really, really difficult. Like I said, we looked at this in every way we could, and we really weren't able to accommodate, accommodate the requirement behind the structure, unfortunately. But I'm, of course, open to feedback, and I know this. I would be overjoyed, I guess, if this is the last step in getting a variance. But I understand it may not be. So, so I invite you to give me some feedback, ask questions, find out what you need to find out.
First of all, I commend you for the detail, the outline. Sometimes applicants come in and they're a bit befuddled about the process, but there's a lot of information that we have here, so this is good. Thank you for doing that. I do, before I open up questions to the board, just for clarification from Adam, the deck, does that count or not as far as when measuring where the front of the house is?
So no, so the deck's likely pre-existing or has a separate variance. I could look into that. But you would not count the front line from the deck. It would be from the principal structure.
Okay. All right, answers that. All right, Leah, questions, comments, concerns?
Yes. First, why do you want to use two different types of fence? You have the black link fence going from, I guess, the front of the trees on Fisher Road and wrapping around, and then that other box, or that other wood fence, is it wood box, along the side? Is there a reason you want to have two different kinds?
The reason being that the area that we want the different fence in, next to the driveway, is visible from the road, and it's visible to us every day when we go outside, and so we just prefer the look better than the black chain link.
Blends in a little better.
Yeah.
And then on your drawing here, where, next to the driveway where the fence is, it's 35 feet to the street edge,
Yes.
correct? And Adam, what is, oh, well, it can't be forward of the front line. Is there anything, from the street allowed, to where the fence is, or it's we're just dealing with the,
Yeah, so he's requesting relief from 21141H, which says no fence over 2 feet shall be forward. There's no other limitations. It has to be within 1 inch of his property line if it were to be behind the home. So that would be the only other limitation. Should the variance be granted, he can't be in the right of way, can't be forward of his actual property line.
so this is where you propose to put your fence, that's more than 1 feet from your property line.
More than 1 foot setback.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, just wanted to clarify that. And then also on this drawing here, I see, doesn't, oh, yes, now I see better. You have a shed, it shows a shed here on this, drawing here. A frame shed in the back and you're gonna put the fence like right, hitting right at it, or, what is?
Yeah, we'll terminate the corner on the corner of that shed.
Okay, and what is that shed,
It's just an existing utility shed. It was built with the.
Oh, it's a
It's a
utility.
utility shed.
Utility.
It was built, I guess utility shed. It houses lawnmowers and wood splitter and just things that we don't need on a daily basis.
Yeah, okay. And so then you'll be accessing that, I saw somewhere where you had the gate, so you're gonna have a gate right there.
Yeah.
You have to access it, okay. And, yeah, that's all I have for, oh, one more question. Also on this drawing, it seems there is like a little slope where you put down existing storm drain. Does the property slope down a little bit?
There's a flat area to the north of the south hedges, you understand? And then it's probably 4 feet wide, 5 feet wide. And then after that flat area, it goes into the sort of storm drain depression. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have for now. Thank
Okay.
you.
Larry, comments, questions, concerns?
Yes. Did you consider doing the same kind of fence around the whole area rather than two different kinds?
Yeah, we considered it, but we chose to deviate for aesthetic reasons and cost reasons, to be honest. We didn't want to spend the cost of the boxed wood fence on the entire run when most of it was going to sort of blend in with the hedges anyway.
Could you give us a rough idea of how much more it would cost?
I can't. I just know it would be some percentage above what the chain link will be, and that is going to be, well, it's going to be considerable, the chain link alone, so.
Are all the hedges and trees that are blocking the view on your property?
Yes.
What plans would you have to, would you be okay to some conditions that if those died, that they'd have to be replaced?
I'm not,
Well, basically, you're making the argument that the fence is going to be hidden. Well, if the hedge dies, the fence is no longer hidden.
yeah.
So I guess if we put a condition on the variance that says, if the hedge dies, you have to replace the hedge so that it can't be seen again.
Yeah, would that be a typical condition of a variance like that? Has that ever been done?
Typical is, let's not use.
I know, we're
typical.
not in the right room for typical.
Right. Each parcel is unique in and of itself. So if the board deems it, because you're asking for a variance, and looking at the code, you're trying to, is that the board is charged with, is granting the minimal or smallest amount of variance possible. And one of the concerns is the visibility or the obstruction that events potentially could create. A condition could be put in on a variance to say, if you want a variance, in this, let's say an example here, say, gee, we want you to keep that buffering vegetation at or better than what it currently is. So, because part of your argument was you can't see the fence, so who's going to see it? Who in the neighborhood is going to see it? But to Larry's point, if the hedges die, now it's going to impact negatively the character of the neighborhood. Does that make some sense?
Yeah, I understand the reason for the ask. I'm just trying to understand the implications of the ask for me down the line, or if I ever sell the property.
Well, the implications
that?
would be that if a hedge died, you'd have to put another hedge in.
Yeah,
All right, so part of another answer, I think,
something.
yeah.
your question is, a variance, what they say legally, it runs with the land. So whether you live there a month, 10 years, once you move out, that variance stays with the land. It doesn't follow you.
Sure.
So any of the conditions that the board then deems directly related to the granting of the variance, again,
Yeah.
in this case, trying to screen that fence as best as you can without diminishing the character of the neighborhood, then not only do you get the variance that's granted, but the conditions also follow it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would accept that condition for the variance, yeah.
You can think about it.
Well, I mean, I made the argument, so I have to stand by the argument.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
You can deviate from that if you want and change your mind, but I wouldn't recommend it.
It's my best argument, so.
There you go, good. Okay, Larry, further questions, comments?
Yes, I do. How close to I-90 are you?
One parcel down. So the one next to us borders I-90. The one to the south of us.
Looking at the map, the deck, where do you come, where are the stairs from the deck to the ground?
The stairs from the deck to the ground are, they go, let's see. I have to draw my cardinal directions here.
Right, I think that's the one that's gonna show it.
East, west, south.
The one that was up there.
The drawing.
Is it where the little cutout is?
It's where the little bump out is. That's a depiction of the stair. It's like 3 stairs that go down to the ground in that area. And then where the topographic lines are, it's like 15 feet down.
If you got a variance that was equal, or that was equal to where that deck ends, what does that do, what you're trying to do? In other words, if you go from the deck, and you see where it says concrete on the thing? If you go from the deck right there, right across to the trees, which obviously cuts out the front,
Yeah, I mean, that would limit the amount of area that we have enclosed, certainly, down from where it is. And it would also make the fence run north to south more visible. It would be in the middle of the yard
more visible
to us and to
but not to your neighbors. Not to the people
potentially
on-
to neighbors. I mean, people driving from north to south on Fisher Road. I mean, there's no coverage from that corner. So they'll just see directly in and see the fence.
Let me just hold you a second there, Larry. Could you bring up the criteria? Because I think that might help us. There we go, area variance. So I think what Larry's driving at here is the criteria for number 2 here. In a nutshell, is there a way to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish without granting a variance? And part of his line of questioning is, and also in granting a minimum amount of the variance, if you were to bring that fence right up to as close as you can to the deck, you would only need, right now I would guess, and I'd probably lean on Adam a little bit, it's 3-4 feet or so, which would be west, the west side of the deck, and then heading south towards the line. And the question, why not? Why won't you do, I'd say won't, but why haven't you considered doing that? Is that kind of where you're going with, Larry?
Yeah, so are you marking it up?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I can do this without, if I'm going from the edge of the deck
Go ahead, do you want the,
right across.
Lisa, if you could pop that one we had on before back up? There we go.
I'm getting,
Just have to hold the button down.
oh, I have to hold the button down. Okay, I've never used one of these. Okay, so if I go from, and I'm not getting, still not getting anything. It's over here. Okay, if I go from the edge of the deck, just go straight across even. In other words, come from here.
From we'll call it the forward corner or the
Forward
western corner of the deck.
So that, you've got hang on. You've got a line that goes like this, from the house to the deck, a basic line. And then take that line all the way,
Oh, from the front of the house.
yeah, because that's where your deck is, right? Mm-hmm. And just cut that way, which gives you all the land in the back that you had, but without the front. And that's a much smaller variance. Correct? Adam? Like
Not,
this, like this.
it made me make a 10-foot difference. So Larry, the front, so you understand, the front line of the principal structure, you need to take the front property line and stay parallel and slide that back towards the house. It's not the angle of the house on the property line.
Like that, okay.
So if you come back like that, you're really only saving about 10 feet once you get to the southwest corner of the fence.
So basically, what I hear you saying is that from the corner of that, where it says garage, right above concrete, that has to go
Parallel
parallel to the street.
with the front lot line, correct?
That's why he was talking about it has to go through the deck.
Correct.
Okay, now I understand. Okay. But it's still less of a variance, isn't it?
By a couple feet, maybe.
Yeah.
If you project that line out, it
It's
ends up, I
probably
just
less
did it,
than
it's
10
like,
feet
it's like
from where the
Yeah.
corner is that he's proposing now.
8 feet maybe, I'd guess. Yeah.
I am finished, thank you.
Okay.
Very helpful.
Matt, questions, comments, concerns?
I get what you're going for, having more usable land fenced in, and I understand that. But you have additional land to the east and north, so where the 67 and the 39 are on the drawing. I'm assuming there's a reason you chose to try to fence in the front rather than the north side, more where the frame shed is, incorporate that, so just to understand what the reason for not using that is versus using the other.
Sure. It's basically more area is more cost of fence. And if we're not going to be using the area back there, I mean, the reason it's difficult to only look at the backyard, I mean, look, if we let's just entertain coming off the southernmost point on the structure and going straight back, there's no access to that area
Yes.
from inside the house.
No,
So,
understood.
so
really-
pulling that logic forward, basically, like the fencing in that area in the back, all the way in the back towards the irregular wire fence detail, in the far corner,
Yes.
it wouldn't really, I don't know, we didn't see the value in pursuing that.
Is it like, is the front more usable land? Like, is that section more like hilly? It's not as good. It doesn't have visibility from the house.
It
Like,
definitely
it's
does
just
not have,
kinda hidden,
yeah,
like, when-
visibility is the
Yeah.
main
So
challenge
like, if you
there.
have like your dog or young son, like if they went up and like say you didn't get it, but you still wanted that area and you fenced in that section, if they're up there, you can't really, you can't see them. You don't have, like, it's less safe, or is there specific reasons? You want it more in the front, closer to the house than?
Yeah,
in
not
that-
any more specific than visibility, really, and access,
Okay.
yeah.
And then, no, that's all I had.
Bro, Patrick?
Very thorough. Just confirming, there's no issue with neighbor property lines or utility easements, right? I'm not missing something on the survey or anything. Not that the fence
We
was
had,
crossed.
we had the
right?
survey done like a few months
Okay,
ago, so.
cool. Yeah, other than that, everyone else asked good questions.
Okay, so let's walk through this just a little bit more. So I understand from the corner of the garage heading south, ideally, you really can't put a fence right over the top of the deck. That was the argument you made earlier, right? So far, so good. But let's just say at the very corner, that's going to be the western corner. So the western corner heading due south, parallel to Fisher's, and then running it back all the way to as you have it proposed, and even further if you really wanted to, heading north, and then continue going, that would be west, northwest, along the other side of your home, and then connecting to the garage. The only part of the variance that you would need is the footage that would be part of the deck. The entire fence then could be in your backyard, and you follow me? The only part of the variance you would need is the piece that's going over the deck that's non-conforming. So the question for you is, why not?
Yeah, basically that whole area that would be on the east side of the house, the northeast side, would not be visible and is basically, well, it is bordering the Auburn Trail, so it gets a lot of traffic, which is fine. We like being there. But having basically a contiguous fenced-in area on that side didn't really seem like a good idea to us.
Because what I'm trying to get through is, right now I've heard cost and aesthetics.
Yeah,
When we look at the criteria, there's really no cost and aesthetics baked into the justification on why a zoning board would grant or deny it. You're looking at, is it the lay of the land, or you're out where you're not having a negative impact on a community, or there's won't be there we go. It's not a negative or an adverse impact on the environmental conditions. So what we're charged with doing is, if we're to grant a variance, what we have to do is put justifications, and reason why we're going to grant or deny the variance in each one of those 5 criteria. The hurdle that we have, at least so that we're hearing so far, is there's certainly, anytime you put a fence up, it's cost, understood. That's not anywhere in the criteria. And aesthetics, understood. You want it to look as best as possible. It's your property. You want to take care of it, understood. But right now, your hedges have some positive piece on your end of it. You won't really see the fence itself. But we also have to explore, can you do it without granting a variance, or can you do it with just a few feet? You're asking for some 57 feet, compared to 4 or 5 feet, would be the deck issue.
yeah.
I think that's the hurdle we have here, and looking and getting through and around the aesthetic piece.
Yeah, I think to answer your question, if we took the line from the western corner of the deck, parallel to the road, to the south, what we lose is area that is visible from the house, that is relatively flat and usable for, playing and picnics and, that kind of thing. This is what we lose as a result
You can
of.
still use the land,
Yeah,
but what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying visibility is so that you said children. You have a few children?
yeah, one.
Okay, one, all right. So being able to see your child from inside the house when they're out in the yard, is that what you're talking about, visibility?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
all right. So you could go outside with them, him or her, and
yeah,
see them. It's
Yeah.
not you're completely blocked. You're still getting the benefit of your yard. You're still getting the benefit of the fence, even though you're just getting a few feet in front of that deck, which would be to the west of the deck.
Can,
Go ahead, go ahead.
oh no, it's just a question. Maybe it's for you, Mike. Can the functional use of a property be considered? In other words, the prior owners have oriented this property, like if you're hanging out on your deck, your porch, it's oriented in the direction we're fenced in now. And so if I have a young child, I don't really, personally, I wouldn't want them running around the backside of the house where I'm enjoying the deck, right? So I just don't know, can you cite functional, like the layout of the property as a feasibility, as a justification? Because I do understand why you wouldn't want that. You could walk around, but you could also be enjoying company on a deck, and it's oriented in a way where you kind of want to keep everything in front of you.
Right, you can, it's difficult and costly to change the lay of the land, the topography of the lay of the land. Why that they put the deck there, not you, whoever the prior owner, why they put the deck there is anybody's guess. It sounds like, at least from Adam, for now, we should consider it a pre-existing non-conforming. So yeah, take that in consideration. Also, you can move the deck and put the
Sure.
fence around
Yeah.
and still do it. I don't know how much weight you really could or should put the fact that that deck is there and causing some issues on where the applicant wants to put the fence.
Okay.
I actually have a question for Adam. What's just the front setback in that? Like a new build?
40 feet?
40 feet, okay. The house is substantially farther back of what it could be for a setback as well, okay.
Correct.
And then it doesn't get the benefit of being angled to the road. That kind of hurts it a little bit, like if it had been rotated and run parallel with the road, and that other corner pulled forward, it would pull the setback.
Not necessarily.
Kind of going to Larry's question. You can't follow the front wall of the house. It's just that
Correct.
lowest point, and then it comes.
Whatever the nearest point is, parallel to the front
Yeah,
lot line.
okay.
So imagine a setback line is parallel to your front lot
Yeah.
line. So the front line of the principal building follows that same concept. If you were to push the front line all the way up against
Okay.
the home.
Are there windows on the back side of the house?
There are bedroom windows, but not very many.
Nothing is this a two-story?
It's a single story with a basement.
So the one-story, you can see the back of what we were talking about.
If you go into the bedroom, I suppose, yeah.
Are the bedroom windows, long windows, like going almost like floor level, or is it like in the older houses, not, enough above the floor?
Yeah, they're about waist level up off the floor.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you really have to go near to the window to really see out.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that's really your backyard. That's the back of the house.
That's the back of
really,
the
like
house.
it's. Yeah, the way when I drove by, that is your backyard. That's kind of where probably like your living room or whatnot comes out to, and that's the backyard there,
Yeah.
not the back of the house. Okay.
Correct, yeah.
And I just want some clarification when the question was asked earlier, and you said it's for visibility. But I think also you meant visibility if you're in the house and not on the deck, that you see your child and the dog if they're out. So by having the fence in the front, that you can then see them in the front portion.
That's exactly right.
That's
right.
what you meant, not if you're sitting on the deck, you'll see them wherever they are.
Sure,
On the
sure,
side.
yeah.
But if you're inside and, that room that's right, a couple of rooms right off the deck, you can then see them.
That's 100% correct, yes.
I'm just looking at some aerial image, and I wanted to confirm something. It looks like the north side and more to the east, along the Auburn Trail property line there, is more heavily vegetated than the area where you're proposing the fence. Is that accurate? More trees and
The area that is just outside of our property line, which is technically part of the Auburn Trail or owned by RG&E, is heavily vegetated. Yes.
Okay.
But the property line is basically like the edge of that vegetation.
Okay. So that is relatively usable area to that side of your property?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, it's usable. Yeah, I guess you could say it's usable. It very much lacks what we've been discussing, the visibility aspect. It very much lacks that.
Yeah,
Half
I
of it
was looking
being,
at an aerial image, and it looks like the canopy almost comes over your house, so
It
I
does.
wasn't sure how densely wooded that side of your...
it's quite shaded. And there's kind of the way it's laid out right now, there's kind of like a narrow grassy swath that sort of meanders on that side of the house, and then everything else is like ground cover or overhead trees, basically.
Any more questions from the board? For now? Anyone want to speak for or against the application? Nothing over there? Okay. So I think we're at a point to press forward as I'm looking at the criteria and where, at least I see it falling. I think we're at a point of, we don't want to over-engineer it. This is your application. It's your choice. When we're in a situation of not exactly feeling comfortable with the ask, is to ask the applicant, well, are you willing to consider moving that line and where the fence is further would be east of where you currently have it? And what I'm driving at is going up to the corner of the deck, the western portion of the deck. If it's no, then that's your choice. I'm not forcing you to do it. That'll, I think, dictate how the board is going to feel about what to do next. The other thing you can do, since I'm going to take a guess that your wife may want to have something to say about this, we've given applicants an opportunity to say, you know what, could I table this matter, come back the next time, I want to talk to my wife about this, on what to do next, I want to think about it, because there's a lot of information coming back and forth. And best to think about it first before you say, this is exactly what I want to do, no ifs, ands, or buts, I'm not budging. You follow me? So, do you have thoughts on that, and where you'd like to go with it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be denied, first of all. So, I think what you're telling me is
Right,
that,
sorry to interrupt, there are consequences. If it's denied,
yeah, I know.
you have a longer period of time to wait before you can reapply.
Yes.
Now, what I can do is we can talk to the board, and not a straw poll, but get a feel for where everybody is on how this whole thing is starting to look. We'll ask, they may say, no, you got to push it back, we're more comfortable with that. Would you like us to do that?
A straw poll would be great.
Okay, so Patrick, where are you on this, on the current presentation, the current ask, or some modification thereof?
I'm supportive of the application. I think Adam's point of some shade and vegetation could cause some problems with fencing in the back, as we've sort of engineered it a bit. I think the orientation of the house drives it this way. I think the slope of the basement creates this to be the most functional place to achieve what he's looking to achieve. And I think that deck right there creates a barrier to limit that variance less of a marginal amount, or of a significant amount, basically.
Good so far? All right. Leah, where are you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm surprising to myself. I'm actually supportive of the fence the way it is. I think there's enough vegetation that covers it, and being that it's chain link, that blends in nicely rather than solid. And I understand, why you're trying to achieve this, and I don't think putting the fence in the back of the house, which would be the west where the number 67 is on the drawing, I don't think that's feasible for the purpose.
Right, Larry, where are you on this?
Well, I would be against it at this point. I think that the variance is too large in the front, and it could, you know, their intent could also be accomplished by moving back at where it says 39 feet, because that looks to me like that could be visible from the deck. And probably, you know, definitely not as much space as they have in the front, but it just seems like a very, very large variance to me.
Right? Matt, what do you think?
Generally supportive of it. However, to Larry's first point in regards to the hedgerow and the trees, not saying you guys would do it, but if, say, you sold the house in 4 years, the next person comes and just clear cuts the entire road and then just opens the whole thing up, I do think actually having a condition of the vegetation has to be there, because honestly, the vegetation goes to a big reason for actually screening the fence and then not really being able to see it. Because I actually think if you pulled it farther back and put it in the middle of the yard, it would almost make it more visible versus here you're hiding it. But I would also hate to see someone come in then and just clear everything out, and then the fence is visible, and it really then, I think, would completely change the application and how it would have been looked at. That would be the only thing I would be looking at, if you would just be okay with the condition of, if any of the vegetation died, having to replace it, and it's not, correct me if I'm wrong with the code, it's not a replacement necessarily in kind, like if a 20-foot tree comes down, you don't have to go out and buy a new 20-foot tree. It would be something reasonable, like a 6-foot or a new tree to start to fill that back in. That would really be my only thought for that.
All right, as far as well, let me jump to me. I'm more in Larry's camp right now. As far as if there were conditions should you lose some vegetation, to replace it with a minimum of something, whether a hedge, a tree, 6 feet or better. Is that what I'm hearing from Matt?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. If the vegetation goes away and opens it up, that it has to get replaced so it keeps the fence screen from the road.
Larry, what do you think about that?
Oh, I'm okay with that provision. I mean, I'd be in favor of that provision. if we
Okay,
go along
Leah?
with it.
Yes.
Patrick?
Sure, yeah.
All right. Want to proceed with a vote?
I think I would like to proceed with the vote.
Hey,
I would also accept that provision.
you would,
I would accept that provision as well as part of it.
all right. So let's go through the criteria then. Number one, an undesirable change would not be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties created by the granting of an area variance. Justification. The lot itself is a triangle, an odd shape. There's a significant amount of vegetation to the south as well as to the west, which is where the proposed fence will be located, and would have been visible but for the vegetation. And we'll get to it a bit later, but the applicant is willing, in agreement with a condition that should any of the vegetation either die away or be lost from disease, that a replanting of the vegetation, hedges, trees, is at a minimum of 6 feet. Would anyone like to add anything? Well, let's also put in there the applicant's concern about the visibility, the ability to see their children from inside the house due to lack of windows in the, I'm looking for a word here, on the setup on how that house is currently. Would anyone like to add anything to the first criteria, any further justifications?
And I think for the fact that it's also only a 4-foot tall fence, black coated and chain link, a specific type of fence, I think is important
All right,
as well, just to clarify that.
Yes, 4-foot fence, and we could also put in a condition that will be no greater than 4 feet at any time, whether you own it or anybody else. Okay. Good thought. Anything else in the first criteria? Second, the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. Part of it is, it's the deck is at issue. However, the board, I think, is in agreement that with that vegetation being present and the applicant being willing to maintain it and to keep it there, that balances things out as far as whether or not the applicant can pursue the method, some other method feasible to pursue. Anyone want to add anything else to the second criteria?
There is a feasibility of ending the fence in a different direction.
Right, I thought I had indicated, I said it's feasible, but the balance of that is that the vegetation being present and balancing that out a bit, the significance of it, of the feasibility piece. You're not comfortable with that?
I'm not in agreement with that, but.
All right, do you have another?
Well, no, I'm okay with you leaving it that way. I just don't necessarily agree that there's not a feasible alternative.
The answer to the question was can. So he said that there is a feasible. And then he said there's a feasible method, but it's screened, which balances it out. So he doesn't believe there's a negative impact, even though there's a physical,
Okay,
feasible.
I'll buy that. Thank you.
All right, moving along. Third, the requested area variance is substantial. 57 feet is arguably a substantial ask. I don't think there's anything more to be said about that. Anyone want to add or comment on the third criteria?
It's approximately 52 feet, just for the record.
All right,
57 feet is the length of the fence, but it's at an angle.
Got it. Okay, so let's do 52 feet, approximately 52 feet.
Correct.
All right, anything else on the third criteria? Fourth, the proposed variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. I haven't heard anything today about the fence having any kind of impact on the physical and environmental conditions. Would anyone like to add or comment on the fourth criteria?
As long as the foliage is there.
I don't know if that directly relates to an environmental condition.
It would be a physical condition. I mean, if he had no foliage there and they were trying to put the fence up, this would be an entirely different conversation.
I
But
think
the
what,
fence doesn't have an impact on,
The
it's not like the
environment.
fence itself doesn't have an impact, is kind of how I would.
right, and I think what we're looking at on that element is if you want to put a structure in, let's say, the wetlands, it's probably the best example I can think of, is that if you want to put a structure in wetlands area, that potentially that could have a negative impact on the overall environmental conditions going downstream.
No, but I'm going on a physical. I'm fine.
Okay, thank you. Fifth, the alleged difficulty is self-created. For clarification, the conditions, maximum 4-foot fence and any vegetation that's either dies away or cut, a replacement of vegetation, shrubs, hedges, trees, minimum of 6 feet. All right, anything else to add on the justifications or the conditions? All right, with that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve?
Matt, search.
I'll second.
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 Thank you, Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay?
Okay, Larry's a nay. All right, good. Questions?
No, not at this time.
Thanks so much for your patience.
Thank you.
All right, next. Bow Wow Salon. Come on up.
Good evening.
Good evening. I
Nice.
don't have my calendar right in front of me on the day that Lee and I were out there, but 2-3 weeks ago.
Yes,
It
correct.
was a nice day, much like today. Sun was out, light breeze, and you had a sound test for us. I'm just going to summarize it for
Absolutely,
those
that's
that
fine.
weren't there. And Leah, certainly correct me if I'm wrong. The sound test was done, and we walked around interior, walked around inside, and what we noticed, at least I observed, that when you did the sound check, dogs barking at 120 decibels.
Yeah, it ranged from 120 to 130.
Okay, so 120 to 130, multiple dogs barking, and there was echoing going on inside where the main kennels were going to be. Then their next step, Lee and I went outside with Terry over there. I don't remember, you were inside, right? And we wanted to hear what it was like outside. So we were in the area of where the dogs would be running. Distance was approximately, but for the wall being there, distance was maybe 20, 30 feet. Is that fair to say?
Correct, yep.
Okay. So you put it on again, and we could hear it, but it wasn't that it was so, boy, that's loud. You could some dogs barking. And I think possibly you were considering putting some insulation on the inside of it, but we'll get to that in a moment. And then the next step, Terry drove us, Lee and I, over to the apartments. I'm going to lose the compass direction here. That would have been southwest?
Southwest, yeah.
Southwest, yeah.
Right, so the Auburn, thank you, Auburn Creek Apartments, to the closest corner we could get. And we certainly couldn't hear the dogs barking or the sound of dogs barking from inside the building. Then Terry had the phone on. Yeah, Terry, point it that way, not at your face. There we go. But what we could hear is once you went outside and played it again, Terry had his phone on. We could hear it through the phone. To me, I could hear more through the phone than I could through the speaker coming over the vegetation and cattail. Does that sum it up about it?
Yes, and I walked away from where you had the phone and walked to the closest point of the apartment, the corner apartment. I didn't walk too much to where their patio was, didn't get too close, but I could hear that barking very faintly. It was really very low. I was trying to listen for it. And I think if I was doing something else, I wouldn't even hear it at all.
Okay, so with that, do you have anything else you want to add before I open it up for the board to ask some follow-up questions?
No, I don't think we have anything to add.
All right, so we got the comments back from the county. It's a Class 1. So the nutshell version of that is they didn't come back with a denial. A denial would have required a supermajority to grant a variance. They put some comments in there. Have you had a chance to look at what their comments were?
No, I have not. Sorry about that.
And why don't you take a moment, take a look at it. The board may want to ask you some questions about that. Let me know when you're done with taking a look at it.
That's it. So,
Good to go?
yeah, good to go.
All right. That, let's reverse it. Patrick, you ready? You want us to go the
Sure.
other way?
No, I can go. Clarification. On the floor plan, it's like a survey. It says first floor plan on there. It says 34 kennels in total, and then I'm counting 10. It's 44, but I'm seeing 43. How many kennels will it hold?
This may be off on the count.
That was the other
No, that's
plan.
fine. But is it going to hold 43? And I guess to the question can it safely hold 43
Yes.
from an
Yes.
occupant? Like how is
There's a
kennel occupancy measured?
It's like size of the dog,
Okay.
what they recommend, but the 4x6 is well above a large dog. So
Okay.
75% of the dogs are small, little, maybe a lab is on the larger size, and it's twice as big as it needs to be for,
Just jump
A
in
lab.
real quick.
sure.
Did you tell me that the dog is measured from nose to tail?
Nose to, I don't remember exactly. I want to say it's nose to butt.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Could have a long.
And I think that drives what I think your question on how big's a dog and
Sure,
can they be in
yeah.
there? So go ahead.
Okay. And then my last question is more of just an open-ended question, sort of, if we're thinking of the smallest variance possible, it's 1 acre, there's really no way to create, am I thinking about, like, it's a parcel size issue, right? Squarely a parcel size issue, there's no other, okay. Asking that out loud, I'm good, I'll listen to everyone else's questions.
Matt?
I don't know if I have any specific questions. I know last time I appreciate a business trying to take a vacant space. I just have like real concerns, like it's half the size of what it's supposed to be with the wetlands and everything else. There's literally no ability to expand. It just seems like we're trying to make it fit into this space versus a space that might be better. I don't have specific like questions I think you can necessarily answer to get me past that. I didn't necessarily have like huge concerns with the noise, with the difference. I just think for a kennel use and it's 2 acres, it's a really small lot to do that, and there's really no ability or anything to expand. That's just being honest. I'm thinking about it while I'm here, and I don't know if I can get past like the size and just the restrictions on that lot for that use. So that's all I wanted to say right now. I didn't have any
Right.
specific questions to try to get
Circle
past that,
back.
yes.
Larry, what do you think?
I'd like to ask some of the questions that the county asked. Proper disposal of pet waste? How will that be handled?
Baggies,
Geese?
solid waste, and then you throw it out. Just like you see people walking down the Lehigh Valley Trail.
Okay, how many employees will there be, roughly?
There's 5 groomers, and there would be, I want to say there's going to be 1 person for 10 to 12 dogs.
And how many customers per day?
I want to, we have,
Hopefully you'd have 44, right?
right, that's what you got to figure. So it'd be 4 people taking care of, 3 to 4 people taking care of dogs, and then 4 groomers, 5 groomers.
Will the outdoor play area be grass covered?
It will be turf covered. Grass is tough to maintain with dogs running around.
And I've thought about this over and over ever since you guys came.
Mhm.
I love the idea that you want to go in there. I love the idea that it's a vacant spot. I love the idea that you're local. I'm stuck on the 2 acres.
The size of the,
It doesn't matter. I don't know why they wanted 2 acres originally. It's just a huge variance for me.
I understand.
Understand?
Yeah. But we'll come back.
Did you have any discussions with either the Humane Society or Lollipop or somebody that said anything? Let's first stay with the inside of the facility. did they say, I know we talked earlier about, 4.6 per kennel for the large dog, and that's what you have. Did the Humane Society or anybody say there should be any specific area, square footage area, to put these kennels in? Because I think it was at the first meeting that you said, like, with the state, there are no guidelines for what you have to do.
May I interject?
Let him answer the
Okay.
question, then you can follow up with.
So, we can certainly give you the stats. The industry standard is the Association of Shelter Veterinarians, ASV. They recommend a minimum primary enclosure size of 24 square feet for small and medium dogs, 4 by 6, right? So, I believe that, Mario, is the container size, right? That you're- And up to 40 square feet or more for larger breeds. That's a reference guidelines for the standard of care in animal shelters, Association of Shelter Veterinarians, 2010. The American Kennel Club, the AKC, and many state regulations suggest a minimum of 30 square feet per kennel for boarding operations, with additional space for walkways and human access. Pet Boarding and Daycare Magazine, industry articles suggest planning for at least 20 to 30% of dedicated kennel area for aisles, access, and operational flow. Local regs, always check with your county municipal code. Of course, we can't because we don't have any regs on that. So I guess there are industry standards. The Humane Society is not one of them.
No, okay, yeah,
And if we've all walked in the Humane Society and seen
right,
at various times how overwhelmed they are.
right, right.
So the total kennel area, based on the metrics that we've used, was about 2,500 square feet. Using the 4 by 6, says the average kennel size, 30 square feet. And then it says the net kennel area after calculation should be 2,500 square feet times 0.75, which is 1,875, available for kennels. 1,875 divided by 30 square feet equals 62 kennels. So the building square footage is 6,540 square feet. The area for kennels, 2,500 square feet. Outdoor dog run, 3,000 square feet, which is about 100 by 30. And the net kennel area after circulation, 1,875. Average kennel size, 30 square feet. They're giving us a metric of 62. We're asking for 45? 44. So obviously, we can give you these. Can we put them in the record?
Yes, please. Okay, so,
So I'm,
hold on, just let me put this in first. So what I'm looking at is dog boarding kennel capacity analysis, 2 pages, actually 3. First page is front and back, and then the third is one-sided. And I'm going to date this as the 15th. We're going to call this Exhibit A.
Can I ask a question on that exhibit?
Yeah, I would read that, yeah.
Go ahead.
It said, so for small and medium dogs, it said the size was 4 by 6. And you're proposing all 4 by 6 then, is what you're proposing for kennel sizes?
Let Mario speak to that.
Yeah, yes. I
Okay.
mean, if we could make larger kennels if it makes things go easier.
Well, I'm
for
just
the-
wondering,
the
so
small-
yeah,
No, I know what you're
so
saying.
if that's what the recommendation is, 4 by 6, but then you take in larger dogs, 80 pounds, 100 pounds, things like that, you're going to be taking them and putting them in cages that the guidelines we have are now saying is too small for that dog. So that would be one of my concerns, that we're trying to squeeze this in there. So if there was more of a mixture of sizes, or, because I guess we really can't go in there and regulate the size dogs, but it seems like you would want to have larger cages to actually have larger dogs.
Yeah,
Along those lines, your stats also say an average of 30 feet from the kennel club, 30 square feet. None of your cages are that. Is that correct? Then that's in the document that you just read
Yeah, 30 square feet.
30
for
square
bo-
feet.
For boarding.
for boarding. And I understand how you've taken the square footage and divided and come out with another number, but none of your cages are 30 square feet.
I could be mistaken, but I believe it's 30 square feet of the building itself per dog. You know what I'm saying? Not the actual
Cage.
kennel.
For boarding
It's not a-
operations.
You understand that, what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand where you're going.
It's not the
So-
30
But I
square
thought-
feet per kennel, it's to say that
And it
if
said
you have
kennel
30
operations?
30 square foot per dog for room. If you take-
In that, the way I understand what you're saying, in that area that you have for the 34 kennels, that minus the actual kennel cages themselves, that's area, that square footage in that area gives you approximately 30 square feet per dog to move around.
That whole area is 2,500 square feet, we'll say, and you divide that by 30, and then you
Yeah.
get your number. It's not the kennels themselves.
Yeah. So I'm not, in the interest of time, excuse me, I'm not getting out my calculator to go through the math for all the numbers you just went through. I'm going to trust that you looked at this document and factored it into your area.
Yes. This thing here. Sorry. Where's that paper you just gave her? Where? Here. And I had numbers on it.
There you go.
No, you did this right here. Right. I don't, that's not right. Per foot per thing.
Right.
That's not.
Where are we? Is there,
Any more questions on what we just submitted?
Oh, yes, I thought maybe you were going to answer something. So are all your kennel cages, are they going to be the same size, or are you going to have a few that are a little bigger for bigger dogs possibly?
We will have some bigger kennels, but the square footage per kennel is, like, I think it's a little confusing the way it's worded. The 40 square foot for larger dogs is for the entire area of the building. But yes, I will have larger rooms for larger dogs.
Right.
Most of our dogs are 60 pounds and under, like 75, 80% of them.
And
Go ahead.
I'm not a dog owner, so the 60 pounds or under, like what type of dog is that?
Labs and under, some labs are bigger,
Yeah, okay.
but it's all dimensional to the length of the dog. 'Cause you can have a dog that's 2 feet long, but it's 100 pounds because it's overweight.
And like a large dog would be considered like a Great Dane, that type of dog?
That's an extra large dog. I want to say large is 60 and up or 70 and up.
And that's like a German Shepherd?
They're all, German Shepherds are different sizes. It's hard to
Okay.
nail down a
okay.
size.
Okay, okay,
I've had 100-pound ones, and I've seen ones that are 50 pounds.
yeah, okay. So just staying inside again, the flooring inside that overnight kennel area, are you going to do anything with it? Are you going to put turf or leave it as the concrete?
It'll be sealed concrete for ease of cleanup,
Okay.
you know.
And when we went in there, it's like a high ceiling, it's almost like a two-story. What are you going to do in there? I noticed there were a couple of ceiling fans, what are you going to do for ventilation, especially since there might be at one time 34 dogs boarding in there?
We run the HVAC unit all the time, like the fan itself. And if it gets out of hand, then we'll add a air pump. I guess, I don't know the name of the word.
Heat pump?
No, it's not a
Air
heat pump.
conditioning. Makeup air unit?
Air handler.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And I think also when we were there, was it in that area, are you putting like an extra, I know the window won't open, but were you putting, was it in that area you were putting a window? There was one portion of the wall looking out the back.
That would be for the daycare side,
That would be for the daycare side, okay,
or we put a door with a window next to it,
okay.
talked about.
Now, nothing you saw in any state regulations said, anything about size and, of the property, because now I'm going outside, because, what Matt said, you don't have any room to expand because they're the wetlands on one side of it, and you can't expand on the other side because there's the other property with their parking lot. But nowhere does anywhere say, even if you had that 2 acres, where if it was 2 acres, where you could physically put the building, whether it could be in the corner, a corner on the back side of a lot or, on the front lot. So I can't see, penalizing you for this size, because it doesn't say you have to be X amount of feet from, a neighboring structure. Because where it is now, and like we talked about the wetlands, nobody can ever build there. So nobody can say you're too close to, maybe a restaurant or a residential unit. So I don't have a problem with that. And you said you're going to put the fence with slats on it to block out some of the noise. And when we were out there, the noise wasn't even that bad from what we had. And you answered Larry's questions that the planning board had. Just another question with noise. Let's say you bring a few dogs outside, and one of them starts barking, doesn't want to stop barking. Are you going to then take them inside, or how
Yes.
would you handle that?
Yes, we'll bring them inside to alleviate any sort of problems. I know the louder the dogs are, the more stressed out they get. So if there's dogs acting up, we take them, put them in timeout and let them calm down, and then see if they go back out and relax a little bit. Yeah, that we don't want loud, barky dogs.
No.
Excuse me, Talia, to your point regarding setback, if it was a 2-acre site and the building sat on 0 lot line on the back of that parcel and backed into a single-family neighborhood, there'd be no variance required, correct?
Correct.
So I guess the other industry standard is they talk about is, let's say 45-dog kennel, they typically would require at least 1 to 2 acres of land.
Where'd you get that reference from?
That was, we put this in, and I think it's from the same guidance of the ASV, Association of Shelter Veterinarians. Obviously, there's metrics out there to build how many kennels you can have, and the 1 to 2 acres was a guidance from that. So there isn't any exact science to it, and I think you brought up some good points with the adjacencies, and there are some natural buffers. We have wetlands, we have, to the north, we have that area between the rail side. See the rail side's right here. There's that big buffer there, right?
That's what you're pointing to now, that's the wetlands.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
and
And then that's the
here.
rail, yeah, that's the rail line.
also wetlands on the backside.
Okay.
Right? So,
Yeah,
and then
that's-
the next property to the south is here. So, yeah, I think to your points about the concern for the acreage size, I think that just has to be kind of understood that.
Yeah, okay. Adam, just a question, and it might have been asked already at a previous meeting, but does the code say when this code was dated, you know, for the 2-acre requirement?
It doesn't.
Doesn't say, okay. Okay, that's all I have. for
Okay.
now.
Well, I do appreciate all the concern about for the animals, the size of the kennels, and this information's valuable. I think there's other, lack of a better term, policing methods that come into play here. So to Matt's point, while I do understand, I agree to somewhat on the, trying to put a square peg in a round hole here, that you're asking for a significant amount of space. Code says 2 acres, you're on a little more than 1. Why? That's the $64,000 question. I know that's an old saying, it's probably antiquated, it's put a couple of zeros onto it. But what makes me a little more comfortable here on not trying to get into the why, I can make a good guess at it, it's the noise. It's the amount of noise that's produced from a number of dogs. Whether it be the SPCA, Humane Society, let's just hypothetically say for a moment, this board grants a variance. And the Humane Society comes in and says, you've got too many dogs in here, there's whatever kind of problems it is, you can say, oh gee, they granted a variance. They don't care, right? You're still in a bind with Humane Society. Or the SPCA, the variance isn't going to save you. Understood so far?
Yeah.
If there's an amount of noise, the police show up and say, you got people complaining that the noise is way too loud, it's a nuisance, variance isn't going to save you. Right, so that assures me, or at least gives me some comfort that if it is the noise level, and it seems like you're right on 96, and to my observation, my ears, as good or bad as they are, even with tinnitus that I have, I could hear the traffic noise more than the dogs, and I think the prime issue is how much noise are those dogs going to make at night when they're inside and nobody's there. I really couldn't hear it much when we were over by the apartments. I could hear more traffic than the noise coming from the interior. And I think you said it earlier, if those dogs are making noise when they're running outside, someone's going to bring them in. They're not going to let them bark. So with that, it is a big ask, but is it going to change the character of the neighborhood? To me, I'm not speaking for the rest of the board. I don't see it. Can you achieve it by some other means? No. You need 2 acres. You're asking for a lot. Is it substantial? Yes. Is it going to have an environmental impact? Probably not. You said you're going to pick up the waste, the solid waste, and dispose of it. It's a really close call for me because one doesn't necessarily outweigh more than the other. You, as a board member, what we have to decide is which bucket are you going to put more weight on it to tip the scale of yes, I'm good with it, or no, I'm not. So that's where I'm at. Anyone else want to comment, questions, concerns before I open it up to asking if anyone wants to speak for or against the application? Good for now? Anyone want to speak for or against the application? Okay. Having said that, Patrick, where are you? Are you comfortable with this? You're not comfortable with it? And either way, give a synopsis of why.
Well, I think you summarized it at the end fairly well. I guess I have to rely a little bit on your 2 ears. And I do think that's a big component of this. I don't think it changes the character. I don't think there's going to be an environmental impact. So I could understand that. I think it's a noise. So I'm going to listen to all of your opinions as to how that is impacted and go from there.
Okay,
So I
fair
can get
enough.
there, I guess, if
All right.
where you guys are at.
Fair enough, good. Let's go the other way. Matt, what do you think? Where are you on this, just generally, and summarize it if you can?
I think it's a really substantial ask, but with the other items as you summarized, there's no other real impacts, so I've been sitting here for 10 minutes just trying to balance it out, but I'm also, with what you said, I'm not trying to get into areas where I don't have expertise. I can't tell you what size kennel to have for a dog, and I think if we go down that path a little bit and kind of get out of our areas, it'll self-regulate. If your kennels are too small, you're not gonna get the customers and it's not gonna go well. And like Mike said, even if we give the variance, it doesn't change anything else. If there's a noise issue, you're in trouble. If there's any other issues, you're still there. So I'm not quite there yet, but I think I'm balancing it out and getting past the substantial part of it. So I think I'm.
I have a thought on those pieces, but
Okay.
I have an idea where you are. Larry, where are you on this?
Again, like I said earlier, I mean, I understand all of the issues, I understand what you're doing and all that. I'm just so stuck on the variant. I think the town, whatever time they put this code together, probably spent a great deal of time saying, here's how much space we need for a kennel. And it's just too much of a variance for me to say, to override a lot of work that was done previously.
Right, Leah?
Yeah, that's.
Oh,
the
sorry, I'm
board.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go
I
ahead.
think that's the town board's job.
Where are you on this, Leah?
Yeah, I'm in favor of it. The site visit was very helpful to me. What we were discussing, with the number of kennels inside, and to Matt's point, that if the individual kennels are too small, or, your customers don't like it, you won't have the customers. But I feel like the individual kennels size, that can always be adjusted. If you find you're getting bigger dogs and those kennels are too small, I think as a business owner, because you want a success, you'll modify it based on that. I don't see you modifying it to put 64 kennels in there, but I think depending on your business, you might modify it, to bigger kennels and fewer kennels. I respect what Larry said, that, there was probably a reason when they did the code and they decided on 2 acres, but, unfortunately, we don't have the justification. And I worked for government many years, and I know, it's federal government, but, and I have seen sometimes decisions are made and, there isn't really a good justification. And, I'm not saying it was this way, but I really can get past where they said 1 acre. Originally, when I first saw this, when I got the paperwork, I said, oh, you're asking for 1 acre and it says 2 acres. But I can really get past that, because I don't think for the business you're doing, you don't really need that much, and you've shown enough documentation that it doesn't say you have to have a specific area or you have to be on a specific area of a property. Because you can put it, even if you had the 2 acres, it doesn't say where you have to put your building and your outdoor area on the property. So I'm actually good with it. I think it's a good business. I see there are a lot of dog owners here in Victor. I'm not one of them, but it's definitely, I think, a great business, because even if I had a dog, I would bring it for a day, just a daycare, just for a day. And like I said, I see a lot of dogs here, and I think there are a lot of people who would appreciate this business.
Okay, so I don't think there's a question here that this is probably one of the more challenging decisions that we need to make. We don't have much of a choice. We need to make a decision. What concerns me is that there's they're not ready. Some of the board members aren't quite ready, and they need some time to deliberate. I think we are permitted, if we want to reserve a decision. We're not going to have you go through a whole presentation. We're not asking you for more information. I think we have it. It's a matter of where do these facts fit in and where do they fall as far as granting or denying a variance. So what I want to do quickly is, Patrick, do you have enough information to make a decision today? Would you prefer thinking about it, and we are going to make a decision the next time there's enough deliberation, it's either yes or no, and move along. Where are you?
One question, sorry. If this business is on or around 96, are there other are there other properties available that they could accomplish this? And
Well,
are there
I can
acres?
speak
Sorry,
to-
and are there other 2 acre parcels
Right.
that fit this?
Right, I can speak to this. I do quite a lot of business. I do commercial real estate in Victor, and there is a lot of inline retail spaces in Victor. There are large parcels in Victor. There's office in Victor. It's very difficult to find something that is, let's say, economically feasible and has the land that isn't all asphalt. There were other buildings that were $950,000, that were 12,000 square feet. So, yeah, I mean, the site selection is wanting to stay in Victor, obviously, because they run a very successful business in Victor. There really aren't that many options.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Fair question, thank you.
You do? You ready? Mm-hmm. Matt, are you ready?
I think I'm ready, yeah.
Larry?
I'm ready.
Ready? Okay, we're all ready. Oh, I'm going to start plugging in the justification, and certainly, as usual, comment and additions are welcome. All right, so first, an undesirable change would not be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties created by the granting of an area variance. While this board does not know what the intent of the code is, going on one prime factor is the noise. And it appears that the applicant, through testing and inviting myself as well as Leah out to do noise exercises, and as we had it earlier, indicating that Leah and I were listening both interior in the run area as well as in the apartment area, and we found that the noise levels were de minimis compared to the traffic noise that was on 96. There's also neighboring properties that are wetland areas and with vegetation. The applicant indicated that in the run area that fencing will be improved, or is it, the fencing's there, or
There is a chain link fence there that we're going to use wood slats too.
okay, wood slats, there we go. So wood slats will be installed, thank you. Let's see. Would anyone like to add anything or comment on the first criteria?
No.
Okay, second.
Real quick on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or the drawing, though, says that they're doing a double-sided fence with sound reduction, mass-loaded vinyl. Not just, so you're
Correct.
taking down and putting up a new fence?
Yes, correct.
Okay. I might have just misunderstood. It sounded like you were just keeping the chain link and just putting slats.
Oh, no.
Yeah, okay.
On that note, and the applicant indicated, I think it might have been the prior presentation, that there's going to be further insulation, sound insulation on the kennel area
Inside.
inside.
Right.
Okay.
Acoustical
Anything
paneling.
else? Go ahead.
Acoustical paneling.
Acoustical paneling, perfect, thanks. Anything else in the first criteria? Second, the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. It's clear. The code requires 2 acres, and the parcel is 1.055 acres. There's no other way they can do this but for an area variance. Anyone want to add a comment on the second criteria?
I don't know if it's appropriate to put in there, but that there aren't any, feasible lots, properties available in Victor to meet the requirement, or that it's not?
Yeah, I'm not comfortable doing that.
Okay.
It's just specific to this,
Okay.
this parcel.
Okay.
We have it, if it was ever to be examined by a court, I think it is in the minutes that we did explore that, but to actually put it into a justification, I'm not comfortable doing that.
Okay.
Anything else in the second criteria? Third, the requested area variance is substantial. Again, the code is indicated in the second criteria. Code requires 2 acres, and this parcel is 1.055 acres. Anything else on the third criteria? Fourth, the proposed variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. The only environmental condition that I can think of at this time would be the potential noise issue, as indicated in the first criteria. We were present during the noise exercises, and at least I found that the noise levels were de minimis when the noise was inside, and Lee and I were over in the apartment areas, and we could hear more of the traffic from Route 96 than we could from any of the dogs barking. The simulated dogs barking. Go ahead.
I was just going to add to the county comments about like turf, grass, turf for the exterior. Should we comment on that?
Yep, let's put that in there. I think we agree that, and the the applicant has indicated that turf will be installed in the back run area as opposed to the asphalt area. Okay, anything else in the fourth criteria? Fifth, the alleged difficulty is self-created. Would anyone want to add further on conditions or anything else on any of the justifications we've inserted and talked about so far? All right. And I think I asked, but I'll do it just in case. Anyone want to speak for or against the application? All right. None? All right, so a motion for approval.
Motion.
All right, thank you, Leah. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Patrick. All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right, very good. Thank you for your patience and help
Thank
with
you.
all that. Good luck to you.
Good luck.
All right, we're ready. Exercise is left in this one.
Save the easy one for last.
Right, I thank you for your patience.
Of course.
And just for, I'll let you make your presentation. Just for clarification, we had a real brief conversation before the meeting started. Seeker has to be applied, has to be reviewed. We can't rule on any of this until the seeker, and I think the planning board is lead agency. So until we hear from them, we're just going to listen, and I'm sure you're going to come back again. You're going to have an opportunity, I'm sure, as you know, to put in further detail. So
Absolutely.
walk us through what you like. And I think if I could just jump in real quick, I asked to put the applications in order of importance.
Okay.
So the agendas are in the back. If you have a copy of it, the order of importance does go down the agenda there.
Yeah, I had it laid out that way, I'll just grab one.
Yeah,
And I don't want to minimize, I know, they're all important,
yes.
but just so that we're all on the same page, when we are looking at application number 1, we all can figure this out together.
Sure. So, good evening. Nice to meet you. I'm Charlie Gottlieb. I'm a land use attorney at the law firm of Whiteman, Osterman, and Hanna in Albany, New York. We're land use counsel for Chick-fil-A for all their restaurants across the state. Here this evening with Randy Bebout from Bowler Engineering. He's our project engineer, as well as Christine Bianchi from T.Y. Lin. She's our project traffic engineer. So any site plan related comments, any traffic comments, as that comes into play when we're discussing signage, Christine and Randy will be happy to jump in. We're here this evening for area variances, sign variances, and a sprinkler waiver from the Zoning Board of Appeals for a Chick-fil-A quick service restaurant that is at the southeast corner of the Eastview Mall project site. The restaurant is approximately 5,397 square feet, and it will have a dual-lane drive-through. And I'll get into that in a little bit in the importance of that dual-lane drive-through for drive-through efficiency, since a majority of our customers do utilize the drive-through option. The importance of this project it should be noted, is from an economic development standpoint. For the Eastview Mall itself. We are in a time of real estate development now where malls are becoming a thing of the past. The Eastview Mall is not one of them. It is vibrant, it has been active, and it's important to keep it that way, as it is a big economic driving force within the town. Some history as to how we got here, because we've been dealing with the planning board for several months, if not a year or so, or a year and a half. And so I want to explain some of that back and forth. We've had a lot of internal meetings with the planning board, work session meetings with the planning board, and formal meetings with the planning board. We're now at the point where the planning board has accepted the location and design of the building. From a design standpoint, this Chick-fil-A has very enhanced architectural features that are unlike any other restaurant in the state. You have gable roofs, you have the stone facades, all on pretty much every elevation. And that was at the request of the planning board. In addition, you can see the green area up here, right up there. That is what we're calling kind of a no-build area. So at the moment, that area is under a restrictive covenant between the property owner, the owners of the Eastview Mall, and the planning board. What we've had to do with the planning board is run through several alternative designs for this project to pull the building itself as much as possible out of this no-build zone and closer into these parking spaces here, to try to limit ground disturbance and maximize open space and green space. There is some other hindrances with other leaseholds within the mall site that I'll touch on. On August 26th, the planning board took 2 actions. They decided that they wanted to be the lead agency for the secret review, but they also informally approved the amendment to that no-build restrictive covenant, allowing the project site as designed in the placement of the building to proceed with planning board review. As we went through those different alternatives with the planning board, we actually eliminated area variances that we thought we were going to have to ask this board to get 6 months ago, front yard setback variances and so on. So it was a positive and fruitful back and forth with the planning board to perfect what the project looks like. Yes, the planning board is the secret lead agency, so this board cannot make a decision until the planning board issues a negative declaration, which I think we are fairly close on. The way that sequence of events goes and why we're here tonight is to just get your comments so we can answer any questions in writing, supply more information. Is planning board will issue the neg deck while we simultaneously review and address your comments and concerns. Once the neg deck is issued, the ZBA is freed up to make a determination. Once the ZBA makes a determination, we go back to the planning board, and the planning board issues their, what we hope to be, site plan approval. The first variance that we are here for this evening is related to open space. Let me get my notes here. So the Eastview Mall site, it is one large project site. It was the result of a cluster subdivision decades ago. Per that cluster subdivision in your code, the entire project site needs to maintain 35% open space. And if my math is correct, 65% can be impervious surface or building coverage. In 2007, this board granted an area variance to decrease that 35% to 34.6%. With our project, the open space will be 34.3%, which is requiring a variance from your board. Now, the area variance test, as we kind of went through this evening a few times, is whether or not, the ultimate test is whether or not the benefit to the applicant outweighs any detriment to the community. That's the ultimate question to ask, and then we go through those balancing criteria to assess whether or not the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the community, and so the variances should be granted. So here, we submit that there's no undesirable change for the open space variance to the neighborhood. Specifically, we highlight we're in a completely commercial corridor, no sensitive or residential receptors are near us. But more importantly on this open space variance is there is a application before the planning board for a Element by Westin hotel. And that hotel, Randy, correct me if I'm wrong, that's on the northwestern side of the Eastview Mall property. What's important about this is that project is going to increase green space on the project site. So we're decreasing it by 0.3%. Element by Westin is increasing it so that when both projects are built, there will be an open space of 34.8%. Still under that 35%, but more green space than what exists today.
Right, I'm going to let you finish.
Sure.
But before, because I have a good handle on it, I've been familiar with this long enough. Just so from the board standpoint, until that project comes and is completed, the hotel, you just can't start saying the ifs and buts, and this is how it's going to look sometime in the future. I don't have a crystal ball, you don't, we don't. Right?
Oh, sure, I absolutely
Still,
understand.
It's still fact remained, if we were, whenever the time comes, you still need a variance. Right? Doesn't matter what's happening with the hotel.
No, absolutely. But I did want to bring to the board's attention that both these projects are before the planning board. And if they do come to fruition, there will be more green space on the property. But you're absolutely right. This board somewhat has to make its determination in a vacuum as if the hotel is non-existent.
All right, keep going.
Another thing I wanted to highlight that's unique about this property is the grade difference. Did you guys get the cross-section I emailed earlier?
So the landscaping printouts that you had sent out?
Yeah.
So they have them all printed, they're just not
Oh,
on
okay,
the
that's
slide.
fine. Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. So Route 96 is 18.5 feet approximately higher than our project site. So I had Bowler Engineering put together a cross-section so you could actually see what the views are going to look like from Route 96, because a lot of things are eliminated because of that grade difference. So that's one aspect of an adverse impact to the neighborhood. That really lessens that. In addition to that, the new restrictive covenant that we're entering into with the planning board is still going to preserve 53,574 square feet, so over an acre, of that green space that's along Route 96. So while we are utilizing some of that area, it's still going to maintain its green space and its trees and so forth. The benefit sought here cannot be achieved by another feasible method. So as I said earlier, and if you could put the site plan up there, that might be the most helpful. That's the hotel. Maybe keep going. Oh, yeah, so, that, if you could keep going, let's see, that's the old one, there you go. So we have, this is the no-build area here that's gonna remain. This building location has been turned, and then it's been brought more forward into these parking areas, and the ring road is gonna be located, or relocated to facilitate the project.
Just quickly,
Sure.
the drawing that you're referring to is C201, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, go ahead, keep going.
So we had to balance the no-build zone, which initially we were up in here, with also, there's the Macy's lease area, ends approximately right around here. So we had to squeeze it in between the no-build area and where the Macy's lease line is. There are utilizing parking spaces that are there now for the mall, which are underutilized. So you have kind of this vacant dead space within the mall that we're seeking to utilize with the development. So that's why we have assessed other alternatives. And this one reduces the amount of variances we need by quite a bit. When we had the building more up in here and we didn't have to touch the ring road, we needed front yard setbacks because this is your front yard setback line. Another aspect of this is you'll see we have 2 lanes of the drive-through. So those are 2 full drive-through lanes. The reason for that is a more typical fast food restaurant, you see the building's in the middle and the single drive-through lane wraps around the building and the off-street parking is on the sides. Some now have the 2 lanes, but then they merge into one. Chick-fil-A has completely separated the drive-through lane from the off-street parking area. This separates the off-street parking area from those utilizing the drive-through and separates it from pedestrians for pedestrian safety reasons. But more importantly, it expedites the drive-through tremendously. So you come in, a team member with their tablet takes your order under this canopy. The canopies are used to protect them from the weather elements. They drive ahead, and then a runner brings out their food under the meal delivery canopy. So those 2 lines never merge, and they're seamlessly and constantly moving. That ensures that there's no car stacking or backups in the parking area or on the ring road. We highlight that the open space variance is not substantial. Right now, we have 34 points of variance from 2007. That is for 34.6, and we are proposing a reduction in that by 0.3%. You also have to look when you're assessing substantiality, whether or not it's substantial when you look at the totality of the circumstances. Some variances are substantial, like the board commented earlier today, but are people going to see it? Is it really going to impact the neighborhood? Those factors also consider into whether something's substantial. An adverse impact on the environment, we submit that this doesn't. There's going to be limited views as shown by the cross-section. And again, if there is full development of the hotel and our project, there'll be more green space than exists today. I always try to take a crack at this one, but I'll submit for you that the variance is not self-created. But rather, this was a design that we had to do with the no-build zone. The operations require the 2 lanes of the drive-throughs and so forth. So that's my spiel on the open space variance. If you want to start with comments on that one, and we can proceed accordingly, or?
Could I just clarify
Sure.
something real quick? And maybe I'm inaccurate, but you referred to the Macy's area as their leased area, but my understanding is that's a separately owned parcel that Wilmer Wright, who owns the mall, does not own the Macy's parcel.
I think you are right. I just use lease area because when we had our internal discussions with Wilmerite, they referred to it as a lease area.
Okay.
But that's one question I can supply the board with. But whether it's owned in fee or leased, we couldn't encroach on it.
Your limitation, whether it's
Yeah.
is because of that hard property line. It is a separate parcel. Its ownership is what's under question, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
think what I'd like to do is, I'm certainly not going to bar anybody from asking questions, but you are coming back. We can't do anything today. So unless there's really a critical question that this board really needs to know about right here today, we're going to hold our questions till later. But I think if it's helpful, if the board thinks that, coming back that they need more information, then certainly, ask away. So, Patrick, you have any questions so far?
Not yet, no.
Okay, not precluding, later on you'll certainly be able to. Questions?
Just one question. I know you were saying, either Macy's owns or leases that area, but couldn't you even make an agreement with them to shift to shift your project a little bit into their parking area? Because as you said when you opened up, this whole parking area, including going, is really underutilized.
So, two things. Macy's would never, and we can likely investigate whether we can get that in writing, but Macy's would never. So that's a dead end that we have explored. The other is where the project now connects here, we're taking underutilized parking spaces right here. But if you look at aerial imagery during holiday months and so forth, moving it in closer, these parking spaces right here are pretty utilized.
Yeah, oh yeah, during holidays.
Yeah.
It's
So it was a
packed.
balance between the Macy's line, what parking is not needed, and where that no build zone is.
Okay, that's all.
Things you need to know, Larry?
Yes, we're just going to follow up on Leah's reject. So you have asked Macy's?
Yes, I will confirm that, but yes.
Okay.
I believe the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Probably don't have the answer tonight, but the green space, it looks like Chick-fil-A has a lease parcel. Just what would be the percentage of green space just within the lease parcel? Because I know you're losing green space because you're pushing into it, but the Chick-fil-A lease parcel at least still meet the 35% requirement.
So first, I'm sure, I don't know, Randy, if you have that number, but I'm sure we can get it. But the lease area wouldn't have to be required to the 35%. That's 35% of the lot. And so we are not on our own lot. It's just a leased area of the overall lot.
It's
Under-
of the overall subdivision, which
No,
is multiple.
I totally understand that. I'm just saying, like, you guys went into a large green area. Did Chick-fil-A still at least try to get 35% green space within that lot? Understanding it's going to reduce the overall lot, but did Chick-fil-A at least say, we met 35% if you look at our lease area? It just happens our lease area pushed into an area that was like all green. Don't penalize us for that.
Yeah,
That's the question.
we can get back to you on that, but what I will say is when you look at the lease area, and I think there's a prior lease area in Exhibit A, because we attached the recorded redacted version of our lease, the lease area is just the limits of disturbance. So the lease area really, I would be shocked if it was 35%. Oh, okay, so it's even less, so,
This lease area is following basically the curb line of the street, and then disturbance is actually
Randy,
limits of disturbance.
can you just speak into a microphone? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the proposed lease line parallels the drive-through lane. I'm going to use an approximate number of 10 feet off the south side and 10 feet off the north side. The green area is the limits of the disturbance. The limits of disturbance goes beyond the actual lease area as part of the construction of the project.
Keith Maynard, project manager for the town of Victor. The mall subdivision, as Adam said, is that whole mall area. If you were to look at Encore, and I don't know if we have a satellite image, the actual parcel that they're going to go on, out of all the different parcels that you think of as the mall area, that's a huge parcel. It's weird shaped because all the anchor stores get cut out of it, but they're leasing a very small area of a much larger parcel, if that helps clarify anything.
Yep, thank you. Okay, continue.
great. Number two, and this is one you've already been experienced with this evening. So if you could go back to the site plan, where the meal ordering canopy is located. Yeah, great. So because of this grade difference, from 18 and a half foot grade difference, right here, there's a 42-inch retaining wall. On top of that retaining wall, we have proposed a 4-foot-high black aluminum fence. So because of the orientation, this is the project's front lot line. This is, for practical purposes, the frontage of the building, but we still have a fence, which is a fence structure within the front yard that's closer to the front lot line than the principal building.
Could you show us the extent of the fence?
Sure, Randy, I think this is,
You can just do it on the,
So the fence extents is just gonna follow the proposed, length of the retaining wall, which is about this limit right here. Just because if there's a drop-off more than 30 inches, we need a fence.
so it'll go right up to the ordering canopy.
The retaining wall is gonna sit, behind, the meal delivery canopy, the ordering canopy right there. It kind of stops right there. Then it continues on to the east and then wraps around to the, on the south to the east sides.
You're
Then
not
it stops just past the meal delivery
You're
canopy.
not considering any fence to come down off of the retaining wall?
Maybe I can jump in quick. Charles, is it fair to say that fence is required by state law?
yeah, correct. I believe it's a local code requirement, correct me if I'm wrong, or is it New York State Building Code?
Correct.
Yeah. So, and it's because of, again, it's because of the orientation of the building. Typically, and our access is from the Mall Ring Road, so typically the building would be flipped and you'd have access on your front lot line, but no one's having access onto Route 96. So the whole purpose is your frontage practically is the Mall Ring Road, which forces this accessory fence and the drive-through canopies and so forth in the front yard.
Thanks.
The fence, 4-foot-high black aluminum, it's going to match the fence that will be around the outdoor dining area, which is to the west. It will not be seen from Route 96. If you look at the cross-section there, Route 96 is up here. The fence is that little black dot right there. So it won't be seen from any pedestrians or vehicles, and no visual impacts that would otherwise be associated with a structure in your front yard.
All right, just quick, just so we have it on the record. What drawing are you referring to? I can't see it. C1?
C100.
C100.
Okay, thank you.
To eliminate that retaining wall, I believe, and Randy, correct me if I'm wrong, there would have to be extensive grading within that no-build area, which no one wants to disturb that grass area more than we have to. And again, it benefits that dual-lane drive-through that's built for drive-through efficiency. While I'm on that topic, the next variance is the same exact variance request, but it's related to this meal or delivery canopy. So I believe that this meal delivery canopy is attached to the building. It is a, let's see.
So we were told it's detached,
It's
which is
detached?
why you need to.
Oh, okay,
Variance.
most of them are attached. So if this is detached, then it essentially becomes an accessory structure closer to the front lot line than the restaurant itself.
It's closed on two sides?
No, no, it's open on all four.
Columns with a cover.
I think there are elevations, should be somewhere in the packet that show what it looked like.
Oh, that's fine. You answered my question.
It's a, there you go.
Well, hard to see, but it's this.
It's thin and sleek, there's no Chick-fil-A signage on it, and again, if you go back to the cross-section, Randy, you can see that with the grade difference, it's really, the canopy is 11 feet high, and that grade difference is 18 and a half feet.
So if you were to attach it to the building, you wouldn't need the variance.
That would be my argument to you.
Right. I thought that was discussed in previous meetings as we went through this, and that it wasn't able to be attached.
It was the preference to not have it attached.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's kind of one of those semantic things too. It's in the same location. If it was attached to the building, we wouldn't have to have the variance. But because it's, you know how far away from the building, it's pulled back.
Oh, it literally abuts the building. It's the means of, sorry. You won't have to tell me again. So, the canopy will be right up against the building. It's really just the means of how it's constructed. It is a freestanding canopy, columns on both sides, versus it being physically attached structurally to the building. And again, that's just a preference. That's how they build the majority of them, unless there's extenuating circumstances. But to Charlie's point, it doesn't change how it looks or how it functions.
So on most of your properties, the canopy is freestanding?
That is correct.
Okay.
The canopy.
If I can ask one more
Yeah,
question.
sure.
I'm looking at the map. I'm looking at L100. It does seem like it doesn't abut, the ordering one doesn't seem to abut the building.
That's correct. The ordering canopies, those typically do not. That one is approximately 5 feet away from the principal building.
Thank you.
The canopies, as I mentioned before, are for team members during inclement weather. Again, they're out there with iPads, taking questions, taking orders, making sure things run efficiently. The canopy is 99.6 feet away from Route 96, where 80 feet is required by your front yard setback requirements, so it fully complies there. And again, it's needed because of the orientation of the building, having its practical frontage along the ring road.
Can I clarify something?
Sure.
So that other canopy doesn't require a variance, correct?
Correct. The order canopy does not. It's just a meal delivery canopy.
Then that's a result of this being the side yard. So the accessory structure can be located. So our next one is the sprinkler waiver. Were there any other comments on the fence or the canopy that we can provide more information on?
Well, getting back to the fence and the retaining wall, you know, understood why the retaining wall is needed. But for the next meeting, could you bring like a rendering or photo of, because you have the retaining wall and then you have the fence, so I just would like some rendering, so that'll give
Of
me
what
a
it's gonna
better
look like?
yeah,
Yep.
visualization, because I'm trying in my mind to understand how it is, and I can't really picture it.
Absolutely. So request number 4 is a waiver and not an area variance. So, you know, that balancing test doesn't apply. But essentially, Chick-fil-A does not have sprinkler systems in their canopies. I'm sure that section of the code, that requirement of the code, is geared towards, or had in mind when it was enacted, gas stations where there are hazardous materials, chemicals being stored underneath, so forth and so on. A few things we'd like to highlight as you contemplate this waiver. The canopies are steel with an aluminum fascia, so they are fire resistant. The canopies and the building fully meets all New York State Fire Code regulations.
What we'll do, what we have done in the past, is we'll lean on our fire marshal to do an evaluation, look at it, give us recommendations, and then based on that, oh, look at that, there it is.
I think we have it, yeah.
This is pretty much what we're gonna,
Yeah, and we have a copy of those, and he suggested there examining whether sprinklers coming from, I'm sure I'm not describing this correctly, sprinklers coming from the principal building to spray on the canopies is an option. So we've charged our architects and fire engineering team to take a look at that.
okay, great, perfect, thanks. Keep going, thanks.
in speaking with Chick-fil-A, we talked about what their evacuation methods are in case there is a car fire under the canopy. And the process is, of course, to call 911, but you evacuate the drive-through lanes, evacuate the building, so forth and so on. There are over 3,000 Chick-fil-A's in the nation. The Chick-fil-A representative who's in charge of this region asked the company. There has yet to be a car fire from his understanding. So we threw that request in, but again, we are going to look at whether or not a sprinkler can come from the building itself. The lighting variance, I'm not going to take too much time on this one. We had proposed a floodlight to shine on the American flag. We have asked our lighting engineering company to see if there are other mechanisms to light the flag that are compliant with your code.
Good, thanks.
Now we get on to signage. And so signage amounts to application number 6.
I have a quick
And-
question on
yeah.
the light for the flag.
Sure.
Is there like a flag code that kind of states if you do a flag, is it an American flag?
Yes.
Is there like a sign or a flag code out there that kind of says, if you have a flag up, this is kind of how you should treat it, so it's treated like respectfully? I hear people mention a flag code that I
Anna
don't know.
can say it better than I can.
Yeah, so the federal law states that if it's up at night, it must be lit, but it
Okay.
doesn't specify how
Okay.
it must be lit.
Okay.
It must be appropriately lit. Our specific lighting code addresses flag lighting and suggests that, well, it suggests certain types of lights and prohibits flood-style lights. And the
Okay.
light fixture that they proposed is defined as a flood, like a compact floodlight, so it doesn't comply with our local law. But they're not here for a variance to light the flag. The flag will be lit. It's just they don't have currently a code compliant method with our code.
Understood, the flag code doesn't say how you have to light it, it just says light it.
Must
Okay,
be
that's
lit.
what I was
Yep,
wondering
yep.
about, okay.
So we will start with the wall signs. And we submitted a sign survey. Great, this is the front elevation, which we also call the northern elevation. So after discussions with Adam, which was incredibly helpful, and review of the sign regulations, if you look at this northern elevation, on this elevation, it's my understanding the planning board has the ability to allow for more than one wall sign or business sign. So we're not seeking a variance for that. On this elevation, however, we have proposed 126.66 square feet of signage, where 125 square feet is permitted. And that's based on the length of this elevation. So you'll see here, we have 3 signs. One over the front entrance. That's what we call a Chick-fil-A lettering sign. And that's 60 inches in height, and that 60 inches is from the bottom of the C to the top of the rooster there. There's also a Chick-fil-A logo sign on this side, and then down here, there's a sign that simply says, "Welcome friends and neighbors, Victor." There is no Chick-fil-A insignia, no Chick-fil-A lettering, no rooster symbols on this sign. However, per your code, it's still defined as a sign. So the total square footage of signage here, again, is 126.66, or 125 square feet is permitted.
So the board is aware that in my opinion, the frontage on this elevation is 128.3, as their elevation view suggests. Our design and construction standards, we typically take measurements from the eaves, and they're disclosing 128.3, which is over 126.6. So in my opinion, a variance wasn't required. But if the zoning board feels differently, I believe you're giving us the dimension of the walls of the building itself.
Do you know you said it was from the eaves?
So yeah, on your sign survey, doesn't have page numbers, but the front elevation page that we're reviewing, The width of the building is measured at 128 and 3 inches.
And I think what we took our measurement from was the site plan. So we'll talk to the architect and get the actual confirmed length of that elevation, so we can have an accurate depiction of what the requirement is.
Okay, so yeah, amend the sign survey if it's inaccurate.
Length. Related to this, hopefully we find that we don't need a variance. But what I wanted to highlight is the manner, and we're going to try to reduce this welcome sign as much as possible when we resubmit. But I want to highlight the way the code requires us to measure the square footage of this Chick-fil-A lettering sign. Believe it or not, there's about 4 different ways you can measure the square footage of a wall sign. There's one way by just taking a box and measuring the square foot around the box, but that includes all this, what we call dead space, in your square footage of the sign. A lot of municipalities do what's known as a 2-box method. So you draw one box around the C, and then another box around the H to the A. And then there's a trapezoidal method of measuring signs. So the actual square footage of the sign lettering is 36.43 square feet, as opposed to the 65 square feet with all that dead space. And we have some exhibits that we'll resubmit that demonstrate that as well. So depending on how you characterize and how you measure the sign, governs whether or not we would need a variance. But the actual lettering itself, taking away that dead space, would make this code compliant to the extent a variance is needed.
And to comment on that, our definition of sign area per local law is the box method that you're referring to and the calculations that you have provided. So it's in our code that that's how the measurement will be taken.
Okay, that's great. So what we will do then when we resubmit is I think we completely eliminate this variance, given that even with our elongated elevation that we may or may not have miscalculated.
So you are taking it's the smallest rectangle that all elements of the sign fit in.
So that's the 1-box method?
Correct, the 1-box method. I wanted to specify because it sounded like we were on a different page.
Yes, it did.
I could read the definition if it'll help you, but it is basically the 1-box method.
Yeah, so the code as it reads is the 1-box method.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I had thought.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is the 2-box method gets rid of the dead space that is being counted against us for purposes of the regulations. If we go to the western elevation, this is facing Raymore and Flanagan. This is as you're entering the drive-through. Again, it's a Chick-fil-A lettering sign. This is a bit smaller because this elevation side is smaller. When we were speaking with our signage company, Anchorage Sign, and our architects, you try to have your facade be 3 to 4% signage to make it look aesthetically pleasing and appropriate. We actually had a project in the town of Greenburgh in Westchester County where the signs were too small, and it was the town we complied with the sign variances there. The town itself actually noted that those signs were too small. People were squinting to see them, and they didn't look appropriate for the size of the building. So we were going to supply some more architectural information on that as well. Again, if you do the 2-box method and eliminate the dead space in the top, that's only about 29 square feet of signage. And
Not doing the dead space. I think it's clear. The code is, it's 1 box.
oh, sure, I understand what the code says, and I'm not saying that we don't need a variance for it, but practically speaking, that dead space that doesn't have any signage on us is being added.
Save your breath. We've been down this road before, many, many variances, we've denied them on, we always look at the 1 box. That's how we calculate it. It's in the code, we don't move from it, so craft your argument around and deal with the 1 box.
Sure, absolutely. So
Let me interrupt you. This is the eastern view we're talking about?
this is the western elevation.
And the reason it needs a variance is because it faces a parking lot?
They don't have an entrance, and it's not on a parking lot, it's a drive aisle. So they're not permitted by our code to have a sign on that elevation.
Thank you.
And that answer is the same for the next three elevations. Chick-fil-A chose the parking lot side as their building frontage, so the 96 side is not their frontage. Okay.
Thanks, go ahead.
So if you go to the southern elevation, that's facing City Mattress and the Eastview Mall kind of drive, I believe it's called. Let's see, I think, yeah, that one, perfect. So again, this is your longer elevation here. We have the Chick-fil-A lettering sign and the logo sign. Signs are not permitted on this side of the building. And then if we go to the eastern elevation, which is facing the front yard, Route 96, you have a logo sign where no sign is permitted. What's important about this elevation, and you can see it on the cross section, is that the sign is located in an area where that is pretty much at the, so the sign is in, right above the canopy. So as you look through here, it's at a point where that is what the eye will see, although you have about 130 feet between the building and the road with some landscaped area there.
You're referring to drawing
C100.
100, thank you.
So the rationales for all these signs, after the explanation, is essentially traffic safety, and that's why Christine is here to answer any traffic safety questions. The signs on the northern elevation, which are building frontage, are going to alert drivers as they're coming into the ring road of the building's location. Again, it's not good to have a driver squinting and they're not alerted to make their turning movement in time. Also, we're in a commercial corridor. I think there's signs all over the mall. There's signs on all the other out parcels. There's no sensitive receptors. There's no historical properties. There's no bike paths. There's no walkways. If you're going to the Eastview Mall, you're going there for commercial purposes. Let's see, the western and southern elevations, so those are in the ordering canopy and the back elevation. Those are going to be vital from people accessing and seeing the project from the intersection where if you're going northbound on 96 and you're taking a left onto Eastview Mall Drive, this is going to be your indicator that you have to take that left. On 96 North, I believe I counted there's 4 lanes of traffic there. So you need to not see the building when you're already past that intersection or 50 feet from that intersection. You have to see that building when you can go all the way into the left turn lane and not cause any delays or any traffic accidents. The eastern elevation, that's going to be vital for Route 96 visibility. I am assuming I am going to know reaction to the next variance, which is the monument sign. So this potentially could be the only signage that you will see Chick-fil-A when you're driving on Route 96.
And you're thinking that you'll be able to see this sign far enough back to be able to get into the left-hand lane, which always backs up quarter mile.
So on the southern elevation, that elevation, and Christine can answer any questions as well, but that southern elevation is going to be most vital for people to coming in northbound to see the project site.
Oh, on a comment, maybe be prepared for next time. I'm older, and CarPlay, my kids have taught me, is a wonderful unit that you just talk to it. I want to go to Chick-fil-A in Victor, and go left, go right, go here, go there, get in the left lane. It tells you everything. So I'm not a huge fan that signage all over the place, and to some degree, over signage desensitizes your eyes. It's like there's way too much signs, you almost like you don't even see it anymore. you just go on muscle memory. It's like, I want to go to Chick-fil-A, and this is where I'm going to go, so I know that it's in this part of the mall. Sometimes over signage is too much and unnecessary.
Sure, understood. I will say, as a CarPlay and navigation user myself, you do get to a point where you're close to your destination and you stop listening and you start looking. And that is something that happens to me all the time, especially when it says turn left in 100 feet ago. And so signage is important in that respect.
I got to ask you, though, real quick, if you need more than 5 minutes, I need to take a quick break.
No, we're on the last one.
Great. Go
Monument sign, monument sign's not permitted. We're proposing one. It's 31 feet away from the edge of pavement. 35 feet is required. This is the only sign that's going to alert southbound drivers on 96 to make the turn, your first turn, or your second turn into the Eastview Mall property.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for being efficient.
If Tony did come back, obviously you guys would need a supermajority for the signage.
Right, so you got that piece, you know how the county planning board works, or?
Yeah, and we were going to respond to the county planning board comments, not necessarily for the county, but for your board. They had comments on signage. I didn't see any real adverse comments on the open space or the accessory uses.
Right, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. It's almost always the signage.
Yep.
So we're going to need a supermajority on the signage piece. Unless there are some other questions that need to be asked right now, I think we're all good. Thank you. Nice presentation. Thanks for organizing it like that. And we'll be ready for the next meeting.
So I think it depends on if planning board makes a determination on seeker or not.
All right, so we can't tell you. We'll let you know as soon as we hear from the planning board's NAGDAC, if that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think we were pushing hopefully for the 24th of this month for the planning board. To the extent we make revisions to these variances, would the board want us to resubmit and then have us come in and show you the changes? Tonight, I assume, is a scheduled public hearing. I didn't know if we had to schedule that, but it seems like tonight is our public hearing.
Yeah, but what we'll do, we've done before, we can table it and keep the meeting open so that if there are more questions, and I presume there will be more questions from the board to ask you, and hopefully you're going to have an answer for us. And
Yeah.
Yeah, so assuming planning board made a decision on the 23rd, you would be back here on October 6th.
Okay. So we'll plan on revising some of our variances as we discussed tonight and submitting so we can hopefully narrow this down and eliminate some things.
Outstanding.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Thanks for your time. So I would request everyone keep your stuff so that Amber doesn't have to kill a couple of more trees.
Fair enough.
All right. I think we're not hearing or seeing Keith at all. A motion?
Move to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
Aye. Thanks so much.